In the last lesson, we looked at the whole of the PFD in general. In this lesson, we'll look at the flight guidance. This takes the form of either the flight director bars, FD bars, or the flight path vector, FPV, associated with a blue index. The flight guidance is activated by the FPV-FD switch, which is located here on the EFIS panel. When the switch is set to on, the FT bars appear by default. Let's start by switching the FD mode on. Do this now. As the flight director is switched on, flight director bars are displayed on the PFD. The FPV-FD switch is a spring-loaded toggle switch. If you lift the switch, you can toggle between FD bar presentation and the flight path vector. Toggle it now to select the flight path vector. When the flight path vector is engaged, you will see this displayed on the PFD. Let's now look at these displays in detail, starting with the FD mode. When in the FD mode, traditional FD bars are displayed in green on the attitude indicator. One bar is for lateral guidance and is called the roll bar, and the other bar is called the pitch bar and is for vertical guidance. Where will the FD bars cross if you're flying exactly on your flight plan? Select the point on the PFD now. No, you should have selected the nose of the model aircraft. Do this now. When you are exactly following the flight path, both laterally and vertically, the FD bars will cross over the yellow square, which represents the aircraft's nose. The FD bars work in the usual way. Does the display tell us that the aircraft is... Yes, you're right. The FD bars indicate that the aircraft is pitched too low to achieve the vertical flight path. Remember, when you fly in FD mode and there is a deviation, aim the aircraft towards the intersection of the bars. It is forbidden to roll the aircraft when you are below 30 feet. Any lateral adjustment should be made by yawing. This is because rolling may cause an engine to hit the ground. When the aircraft is below 30 feet, the FD bars will behave in one of two different ways, depending on whether ILS is active. Select each of the labels to find out what happens to the FD bars. During takeoff roll, the roll bar is replaced by the yaw bar if the ILS is tuned. The yaw bar will appear during an ILS approach when the aircraft is below 30 feet radio altitude. It will remain until the end of the rollout. The roll bar will be frozen centered on the nose as soon as the aircraft is 30 feet from the ground. Now we are going to change to flight path vector mode. Do this now. As pilots converting to Airbus aircraft, you may not be familiar with the flight path vector mode. The flight path vector, FPV, is displayed as a green circle with a tail. It represents the movement of the aircraft center of gravity. The flight path vector symbol is known as the bird. Think of it as representing the aircraft. Now we're going to bank the aircraft to the right. Watch what happens to the flight path vector. steer the aircraft now. Notice that the flight path vector moves in the same direction as the aircraft. Because the bird is showing the flight path flown by the aircraft, the rate at which it responds to a steer depends on factors such as the wind, the indicated airspeed, IAS, and the vertical speed. This blue bug is the selected heading as entered on the flight control unit. It appears when FPV mode is selected. For lateral navigation, guide the aircraft so that the flight path vector is on the selected heading. When read in conjunction with the ADI, the bird is a very powerful and accurate tool which tells you what the aircraft is doing. Your vertical direction is displayed in relation to the horizon. It is directly over the horizon when you are flying level and vertical speed is 0. Here is a different PFD display. It is showing the following lateral information: the aircraft actual track compared with the heading. Therefore, you can see the drift angle and correct for the wind effect. The ADI shows that the aircraft is pitched up, while the bird shows that the aircraft is in descent. So clearly this aircraft is sinking. In flight path vector mode, there is an additional guidance available if you wish to change altitude by climbing or descending along a defined slope angle. It's called the flight path target, FPT. The flight path target is available only when a flight path angle, FPA, is set up on the EFIS display. Let's do this now. First, you must press the FPA button. No, you should have selected the FPA button on the EFIS panel. Do this now. When FPA is selected, the flight path target, FPT, appears on the PFD. Before we can use it, we must enter the desired flight path angle. In this example, we will descend by 3 degrees. Enter the descent angle by rotating the set knob anti-clockwise down to -3.0 degrees. Rotate the knob until the correct angle appears. In this example, -3.0 appears in the window on the EFIS panel. Notice the flight path target move as the flight path angle is set. The flight path target appears as a blue partial cross. It's also known as the cage. The flight path target represents your vertical and lateral target direction. The lateral track is the course selected on either the VOR or ILS control panel, depending on the position of the VOR NAV ILS switch. The vertical information is your selected flight path angle. Your objective when flying in this mode is to fly the bird into the cage. Guide the aircraft so that the bird flies into the cage. You must descend so that the bird moves into the cage. This ends our look at flight guidance and the flight path vector. Select the forward arrow if you're ready to try the quiz.